Sir, did I hear you correctly to say that the purpose of unleashing this federal agent assault with tear gas and rubber bullets and pepper spray on 2,000 nonviolent protesters in Lafayette Square was to secure and defend the St. John's Episcopal Church? Was that the purpose of it?
No, I didn't say that. I made very clear that the purpose was to move the perimeter to I Street, which had been the plan, as far as I'm aware, all day the week before.
So it was legitimate in that case.
I'm talking about the June 1st.
Yeah, the June 1st assault on a lot of people, including my constituents, and I have to bring them to your office to talk about it.
Well, I don't think it was an assault. Yeah. They were told by loudspeaker that the Park Police were preparing to clear H Street, and could they move off H Street?
Reclaiming my time, I think you said something to the effect of the St. John's Episcopal Church would have been overrun.
No, that was on Sunday night, I believe. And
Are you aware that the rector of the church, that the Episcopal Archbishop of Washington and the presiding bishop of the Episcopal Church nationally, along with the Catholic bishop of the Archdiocese of Washington, all denounced this police assault on the civil rights and civil liberties of the people?
Did they do that before or after the fire was put out?
Well, all that I know is that they denounced what you did. And if you read what the Episcopal Archbishop of Washington wrote, said that using police force to clear nonviolent protesters without notice in order to conduct this grotesque photo opportunity was antithetical to the principles of Christianity. But what I want to ask you about was COVID-19, because we now lead the world in COVID-19 case count and death count. President Trump, of course, promised the disease would magically disappear. He advertised quack medical cures like injecting people with disinfectant. He told his people to slow down all the testing and refused for months to wear a mask. Last night, he retweeted a number of messages claiming that Dr. Fauci misled the American people by dismissing hydroxychloroquine as a cure for the disease. So now we have 150,000 dead Americans, 4 million infected, 40 million jobless. We lose more than 1,000 people every day, one American every 90 seconds. But you called his public health leadership superb, and you threw the weight of the Justice Department behind his campaign to shut down state public health orders in March and April. Now, if you look at the screen, you will see two tweets from the President of the United States: liberate Michigan, liberate Virginia. On April 17th, he retweeted the slogans of right-wing protesters that are blocking access to hospitals and trying to overthrow public health orders in those states. And you snapped attention on April 27th. You designated a prosecutor to try to bring down those very public health orders in Michigan and Virginia. 2 days later, armed right-wing protesters and white supremacists disrupted the Michigan legislature, leveling death threats against Governor Whitmer, confronting police, taunting lawmakers, and forcing the legislature to shut down as they brandished their long guns and shouted in the faces of police officers. But you didn't send in a secret paramilitary police force on horseback to unleash tear gas, pepper spray, billy clubs, and rubber bullets against these protesters storming the state capitol in Michigan. No, you embraced their cause by joining litigation against the governors of Michigan and Virginia. Now, of course, your side lost your motions for emergency injunctions, but you got to spread Trump's message that it was time to call off the stay-at-home orders, the masking and social distancing. Here's what you said on national TV, echoing the claim in April that the cure was worse than the disease. Quote, "You can't just keep on feeding the patient chemotherapy and say, well, we're killing the cancer, because we were getting to the point where we're killing the patient." Do you remember saying that?
Yeah.
Well, what do you mean by that?
Exactly what it says. You have to balance the cure with the danger, which we leave to governors. You know, I know everyone likes. Everyone likes to lay everything at the feet of the president, but this is a federal republic, and the president respected that. And our response has been largely run by governors. Now, for someone who claims to be so concerned about executive overreach. I haven't heard anyone talk about just keeping an eye on what the governor's doing.
Mr. Barr, with no vaccine...
And that's all the Department of Justice
Excuse me, the time
is doing.
is fine. No
Especially
vaccine.
in the area of religious liberty.
The Supreme Court rejected your position on religious liberty 5-4 and said there was nothing wrong with applying public health orders to churches.
That was on an injunction.
Did you accept that or you don't accept it? We'll talk about it later. Mr. Barr, with no vaccine, no treatment, no cure in sight, you work to disarm the states of the only weapon we have against this disease, public health measures. And now we pay the price of this policy in overrun intensive care units and morgues, a shortage of coffins and refrigerated trucks, and an out-of-control pandemic which makes us a global pariah state whose citizens cannot enter dozens of foreign countries, including Canada. Do you know what Dr. Fauci was saying at the same time that you were moving to take down those public health orders? Here's what Dr. Fauci was warning us about 3 months ago about the premature abandonment of health orders. If only you had listened. He said, I feel if that occurs, there is a real risk you will trigger an outbreak and you may not be able to control it, which in fact paradoxically...
We were not taking down public health orders. We were making narrow...
The gentleman's time is
We were calling attention to the fact...
Will you restore my time because this witness is speaking over my time?
You went over time. Let the witness respond.
He's trying to... The gentleman's time is expired.